Alan Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
What's up, dog?
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Ditto, ditto. So look, before we get started, you remember this?
My eyes. Oh yeah, no man alters dreams. Of course I do.
Yeah, but like you don't remember this book.
I don't remember the book.
All right, so Alan was the first internet marketer I think that I've ever met. So this book is 20 something years old, I guess, right? I have no idea. This was like, yeah, 2002. June 20th, 2002 is when we introduced this particular book, right? And so last week, Al and I had an event planner on, and we were talking about what the state of events look like, and moving forward and such. And so I let her in on the fact that I used to do some club promotions and like events in college, and so you and I used to do those together.
Yeah.
We used to do those events, and so I always try to think of a story to tell or like a did you know or something like that to start off the podcast. And so today I was like, man, what do I talk about? And then so I have these knickknacks and items and stuff behind me on this shelf. And I looked and I saw this book. And I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna tell a story about how Alan and I used to be, club promoters.
Right.
And we did parties and events and concerts and all kinds of events that we used to plan together. And then I remember specifically uh we didn't quite get to the end of this book because one night you were like, look, man, I ain't got time for this. I can't do this anymore. We ain't really making no money, no real money. I'm about to go sell real estate. I only got about 6 months of my salary saved. This is what I'm gonna do, and I gotta make it happen. By the way, Shawn, I'm gonna need this book because I need to email every single person in here and let them know that that I'm now selling real estate. And me, I'm compliant. I'm like, man, but I don't know if you're able to do that. Like, I think there's some rules against it and blah blah blah. He's like, man, let me get that book. Um, and then so I just remember you sending that thing out and you hit the ground running. So two things. I like to think that I got something to do with making or break your real estate career.
Right.
And
Right.
then the second thing is your book, right?
Yeah.
You made me read the whole book because I was like, all right, let me see if he says my name in here or anything like this. So I get to the final chapter and I see my good friend and we had a fat bachelor pad in there. So I just went down a quick memory lane, man, with this
Oh man.
everybody know that you were the first internet marketer before we had CRMs or anything like that. You were spamming people. And and then I'm sure there's some statute of limitations against that, so you're all safe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then secondly, I had to read your book cover to cover to get to the very last chapter to see some reference of me in there, not by name, but like of me in the book. So Alan Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, Alan, you're going to do a much better job at introducing
Yeah.
yourself than I will. So tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Yeah. That was an amazing intro. I hope if everyone gets that type of intro, that type of well thought out intro. And I like to think we've known each other for a while, so you had a lot more opportunities. But for that book to be back there, it really brings a lot of this full circle, man. Like me sitting here with one of my great friends and brothers, and someone who's seen me from the beginning to now is pretty emotional. Someone that can pull on your heartstrings and really pull you back to a place um, that's just beautiful. And I always say I never want to give a negative a negative my tears. I always want to give a positive my tears. Like I want to be able to be moved from that side of my spiritual and just emotional lens. And for you to be able to pull that is amazing, man. So thank you first and foremost for taking me down that road. And yeah, man, this year we'll sell, close to $100 million worth of real estate, probably the biggest real estate team that anyone, that is watching this video probably knows. You may know one or two, but you don't know us, right? We'll sell a home every 36 hours. You know, we've done a lot, man. We've done a lot. Featured on HGTV this year. We'll be featured on HGTV again in the first quarter. Um, you know, get to help a whole bunch of cool clients, just buy a whole bunch of cool real estate and get to be a part of their journey, and get to make some good money while we're doing it too. And it's a charm life, man. I was with a client and she was we were on her doorstep yesterday and I was getting animated. Now, as I get animated, I get a little loud sometimes. She's like, yo, you really like what you do, huh? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, first of all, I haven't seen a lot of people in person. And number two, like, yeah, I do. I do love what I do, man. And I love that I can do it with people that I love. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. But you, man, dude, you're married. You got 2 kids, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. 2 little girls.
Yep.
So it's cool to watch you all on social media and stuff, and watch just I know them personally, obviously, but just their character and how they've evolved.
Yep.
Your wife Crystal is actually involved in your business too as well, and y'all have grown this business together. Like I think when you started out, you mentioned the number that you're doing about $100 million in sales
Mhm.
this year, but like kind of where'd you start, like in regards to selling?
Yeah, sold my first piece of real estate in 2021, and bought my first piece of real estate in 2021. Started out just with me and an assistant, and selling to people on that list. I mean, I would say probably I could probably go through that list right now and probably source 100 deals pretty easily. Like, I've been always big on relationships. There have been clients that have used other agents and have come back to us, and to like we just like we've got this way of sticking around people's lives, and no gimmicks, just really just honestly caring about people, and understanding real estate fundamentally. That's why I wrote the book, was because I just felt like the people needed to get smarter about real estate, smarter about their investments, smarter about being a landlord, smarter about buying, smarter about selling. And I was finding that I was even getting agents that were calling me about how could they get better. And I've always felt that you get better by getting smarter, by being able to increase your wisdom when it comes to what you do. And that's just been where we are. Crystal came onto our team about 7 years ago. She came out of a corporate environment and she grew us. Look, talent is everything, and talent that you love is all of it. And I get to work beside the woman that I love the most. Um, you know, um, and yeah, she grew us from 18 million probably 7 years ago to close to 100 million. We're 10 team strong organization. If anyone else out there is looking to get in real estate, reach out to us, because we are acquiring talent this year. We're onboarding 2 more people from sales and from high level organizational management, sales management. And it's been great, man. It's great. It literally has been something that it feels like work, but it feels like it's work on purpose.
Right, right. We're gonna get into that later too as well. And so when I ask you to be on this, like I really enjoyed reading the book. It's crazy. I text my son before we did this because I like to be intentional and put some thought into doing this. And I said, I'm interviewing he calls you Uncle Allen today, and tell me the best part, your favorite part of the book is. So he hasn't texted me back yet because he's way upstairs, and he knows I'm backing him into the corner. So like I used your book to discipline my son because I forget what was going on, but he had done something, and I said, you know what? Instead of me yelling at him and punishing him in a certain way, I said, look, you have to take this book, and you have to read the entire book. And I think I gave him a week to do it. And I said, once you finish it, I also need you to do a video of what you learned on the book. I don't think he sent you the video yet. I'm
Right.
pretty sure he hasn't. So I asked him this, and so um, one of the things I know that your book does is there's tips to shorten your real estate learning curve, and then you break it down into different. I mean, you have 50 chapters, 50 small chapters, because it's 50 things your real estate agent should tell you about, and probably won't. but you
Mhm.
break it down into segments in the first piece, and we won't go through it all, but buyer beware. Like,
Right.
what were you thinking when you pulled that together?
Yeah, so I just remember when I bought my first house, and you were there during that process, just not feeling like that I knew what to ask, right? I think a lot of people they expect to have all the answers to questions, and that's great. But I found that as I've ascended into real estate and just understanding and investing and business building, asking a better question gets me a lot further than trying to have all the answers. So in buyer beware, I really just wanted people to be able to go there, and it could confirm a lot of what you know, but it also can just like get you thinking towards what you should be asking, right?
Right.
And I just feel like that if consumers and friends just got to the point where they could ask a better question, then they could be smarter in whatever they do. And this just happens to be real estate.
And what are some of the, like, give me an example of a question that you would, if I came to you and I was green or didn't have much experience, or even I ask you questions all the time, but like, what
Yeah.
are some of the common questions or ones that come up?
Yeah. So, all right. So, case in point, someone goes into a new build community, right?
Yeah.
And instead of going there and telling everything that they know and big balling themselves, or saying I can afford anything, or just like spilling all the, like, why don't you go in with like 5 questions that you can ask the builder, like, all right, well, how many, what percentage of homes have sold so far in this community? What have been your challenges in selling? Like, if someone were to say like there are 2 things that would keep them from buying here, what would it be? um, you know, instead of asking, do you build quality and going online, like literally, like, hey, can you give me like 3 buyers who've been in these properties for 6 months or 10 months that can talk to me a little bit about, the construction and what their process was. And, just simple things like people go to a realtor based off a commission. Well, when you're buying, you don't pay commission, right? And if an agent is willing to kick back their commission to you on the buy side, then what that means is they're not going to be able to protect your money, right? So, for if they can't protect their money, which is their commission, how do you expect them to be able to negotiate your money and your purchase price? So really just, asking smart questions out of agents, like, all right, well, you know, what do you think the market's doing over the next month or two? If I were to make an offer on this property, what type of offer do you think I should make and why? Right? There are just a lot of questions that aren't built to trap, but are built to enlighten you to the person that you're working with.
Those are awesome questions. So listeners that are tuned into this, we have a comment section. Please ask questions in the comments. We'll get an opportunity to answer some of them as well. But Alan gave some really key questions that you could be asking. Number one, to help you interview the agent that you're working with, right? Potentially working with. But also, when you go into a home, these are additional questions that you'll need to know to have the information in order to make the very best decision when purchasing.
Yeah. Yeah. Shawn, I even gave a list for agents to ask there. Like,
Yeah.
I firmly believe that, like, the responsibility of people who consider themselves to want to be on the path to greatness in whatever you do is to share trade secrets, right? So, for agents, when you're representing a buyer, there's a list of questions that you should ask the other agent, right, before you do anything. So, I just, those are the things that I always felt that I could best serve my real estate community. And yeah, if you're buying a home, no matter what type of home you're buying, the chapters were meant to be written for you to read in 10 minutes or less. I intentionally did that, right? I could have went on with all these grandiose stories and lots, but I really distilled it down for you to be able to find the chapter that resonates with you, read it, and to know what question to ask next.
Do you think that benefits you? Like, so when you all are presenting offers and such as realtors, right? And you come in with some of those questions, does it make you the more or less the expert of what you're doing, and give people a peace of mind that this person has actually put some thought into it, they have some experience, and that they know what they're doing?
Quiet is kept, Shawn. You can speak from the lending side. It is very rare to have 2 uber professional agents on both sides of the deal.
Yes.
So Oftentimes it's the agent who's got the most experience, who knows how to work and navigate through issues, who's covering for the other agent, right? Sometimes it's a question that they ask that the other agent didn't think about that really is on the other side's issue. Like it's the buyers or the seller's issue, but because you asked that question, you were able to get them to figure that out before it became a fire. Well, that serves your client just as well as it serves that other agent. So, I'm a firm believer in we're like agents should be wanting to work together. If you have an agent who has a tough personality, let's just say that, like they're argumentative, they don't tend to get along with people, they got this big grandiose, like that's not the agent that is going to help get a deal with seller, because pride and ego kills more real estate deals than home inspections. I will say that again. Pride and ego, pride and ego kill more real estate deals than home inspections.
They always can work out. We can always make them work somehow, some way.
Yep.
Yes. So let's get into the smart seller. You wrote about smart selling.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. Like selling a house. What's that like?
Yeah. So I wrote in the book, I wrote a lot about strategy, right? So I've been blessed to have been in multiple real estate markets. So 2001 to like 2007, we were in fact, in 2001, I was still, we bought when the market was still pulling back a little bit. It was meandering, but it was at the bottom. And then the market shot up, 2007, 2008. And then 2009, 2010, 11, 12 crashed the bottom, and then it went back up. So we've been blessed to have been in two complete real estate markets, right? Two complete real estate cycles, which many agents can't say and have done a high level of business.
Yeah, that's the thing. Many agents can't say that they've done business during those real estate cycles.
Yeah, they had their license, but doing a high level of business where you really like were able to glean the experiences is key. So I was able to write the seller side from all of that. I was able to write it from a top market. I was able to write it from a bottom market. And I really took all these fundamentals that will work in no matter what market, because they're going to be like, look, if you bought a home over the past like 5 years, and you don't expect in the next 10 years for the market to pull back, then you're just not like studying the real estate market, right? So we've got to prepare people to own real estate no matter what market, and to be able to capitalize on owning real estate no matter what market. So, secrets, one of the chapters was secrets that your real estate agent uses when they sell their own house, right? Secrets that real estate agents will tell you is that they'll take their time getting your home ready for the market, right? Very rarely are they surprised when they're putting their home on the market. They're preparing to put their home on the market a year before. They're getting the roof done. They're getting their windows changed out if they're going to get them changed out. They're caulking bathrooms. They're having contractors come by and take a look at their properties. They really have a plan. What I find is a lot of sellers just don't have a plan. Like either the agent that they're dealing with just doesn't have the experience to tell them what they need to do, or they just don't care, or maybe the agent's telling them and they're not listening. Like, but the better prepared you are in any real estate market will put you far ahead of your other neighbors that are looking to sell a house. And you don't have to be ahead of everybody. You just got to be ahead of the choice A or choice B or choice C. So let's make sure we're ahead of those, so that if any home sells, yours does.
Right. So having a plan. Having a plan is important. We all know that. And like you mentioned, you want to be ahead so that there are no surprises, so that you can kind of have an idea of what it's going to look like to actually sell. Like, what's my best case scenario, but also what's my worst case scenario, right? So you have proper expectations when you go into it.
Right.
Do you have any recommendations on how to build a plan? Like, do you get a home inspection to do these things? Should your realtors be helping you with this? Like, how do you get that plan together?
Yeah. So the first step sellers should do is they should get a pen themselves, right? And they should just go through the house and start writing down the things that they think they should get fixed, right? Because if you go through a year before and start writing down things, you won't forget, right? And that doesn't mean you need to go fix them, but it does mean you need to identify it. And then what we like to do is do like a 30-minute exploratory call where we go over pricing, what the home's worth, right, in the market, depending on if it's renovated, not renovated, or somewhere in between. And then with their list and my recommendations come up to what's going to make them money, right? And what is going to get their home sold in the way that they want it to get sold. Because some people are not all about selling for top dollar. They're like, look, if I ain't got to do nothing and I can still make this number, I'm good. Well, I need to know that, because if you want to renovate and you living in the house with kids and you got to paint and you got to do flooring and you got to do all this, that is an exorbitant amount of stress, right? So really just understanding what their strategy is and making sure that we're aligned with that. Everything else falls in line, and we got, resources a lot. I would say probably 75% of our sellers use at least one or two of our contractors, whether it's our roofer, our electrician, our plumber, our landscaper, our stager, our gutter guy, our window guy, our general. Like, they are using our clients because they're the same people I use in my crib, right? They're the same people that I refer to the people who've been with us for 20 years. Like, these are the people that I've already had those conversations with that you have with every contractor, because no contractor is perfect, right? And that gets into another chapter. I'd rather have a relationship than a perfect contractor, because something's going to happen. My expectations, pricing, timing, something. You renovated an apartment building in Southeast, right?
Yeah.
You had a great relationship with the contractor, correct?
I do, yeah.
Right, with our contractor, right?
That's right. That's right.
But was everything perfect?
Nah, no,
Right.
of course not. I mean, the expectations the conversations were perfect, but everything didn't go perfectly. There was some hiccups and some missed expectations or time frames and things like that. But no, and then also too, in the midst of the pandemic, the cost of like the materials went up. So that's a conversation and it's kind of like you have to understand, but it's like, man, we talked about this, but now it's changing, and or some permit wasn't available. So now that throws my time frame off by a month, and I'm expecting to rent this particular apartment. So yeah, absolutely. No, everything does not go perfect.
But your relationship with the contractor, right, spanned back a long time. Right?
Yeah, over a decade, like, I don't know, maybe 15 years.
Right. So the speed of trust is one thing, right? The other things is, I believe the speed of trust is 50% of it, and the other 50% is the actual work. And if you can eliminate the speed of trust, then you're only focusing on this.
Yeah, there was never a time where I felt like that I was being had or taken in any way. It was more or less like, all right, I understand. He's telling me because he cares about me. Number one, he wants me to have the right expectation, but then also to protect our relationship, he wants to set the proper expectation, and probably one that's the most conservative expectation, right? And then so it's just like, all right, cool. I know you're not lying to me. I know this is how it is. What do we need to do to move forward to get to the next point? And so it's funny you said what you said earlier. A good friend of mine, he talks about being a problem solver, not a problem finder.
Yeah.
And then when you were talking about how relationships or pride and ego kill more deals than a home inspection, that made me immediately think about that as well. So you touched on the right professionals, renovation and repairs and such, and that's super important. Tell us about being a landlord. I just talked about that. I'm not, man, I've had I got some stories that I could tell about being a landlord, and so have you. But let's talk about that. Like, what information were you trying to get out there to people when you were talking about, investment properties and being a landlord?
Yeah, I've been a landlord for 18 years. So I was a young, inexperienced, let's say, less seasoned landlord back then than I am now. So all the lessons are literally lessons from me, clients, my father's real estate, our family's real estate. We own, probably we're up to about 20 doors in the area. And there's been nothing that I haven't seen. Like, we own short-term rentals. We own rentals that we own for a long time that are about to be paid off. I've owned real estate from DC to Maryland to Virginia. Most of our stuff is in Virginia now. Lion's share of it is. But just experiences, man. And if you own real estate, it is an investment, and it is an investment, even more so an investment when you're dealing with tenants and you're dealing with those issues that come with owning investment real estate. And that's a different thought process, right? You can't just hire any agent to help you buy investment real estate because they don't own investment real estate. Many agents don't. So, I'm oftentimes having like 15-minute exploratory calls. We're doing in fact, one of our mutual clients, Mike, 31-year-old, went to George Mason University,
Yeah.
owns 3 investment properties that he purchased over the past 3 years. And he did it so sneakily and so quietly. I called him. I was like, "Yo, you own like 3 properties?" He's like, "Yeah." Remember when we sat down and talked like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and we came up with the plan where he executed on the plan. And I was, number one, I don't own none of the properties. We sold all of them, but I feel so proud for him. Number one, like he did it. And number two, like he just calls me and like, "Hey, like I got a call from him this week." He called me. He wanted a refrigerator repairman, and I could have given him refrigerator repairman, but I asked him the next best question, which was, how old is that refrigerator? He said the refrigerator is original. It's been in there 10 years. I said, cool. Well, it's probably better for you to replace the refrigerator than repair it, right? Any old refrigerator repair is going to cost $250, $300 because of the age of it, right? Because finding and sourcing that part is going to be tough. And it's the end of the year, so you probably can get a much needed tax write off if you go ahead and buy an appliance before the end of the year. And you won't have to have your client, your tenant calling you in 6 months saying that the refrigerator is back on the fritz. Just get something new. He's like, "Man, I didn't even think about that." He's like, "That's why I got you. That's why," and that's why he has me, is because we've established a relationship. He's used us multiple times. He follows through on his plan, and he's been really successful in real estate. I think he bought 2 in Woodbridge, 1 in Annandale, and he says every year I'm doing the same. I'm gonna buy another one. I'm gonna buy another one. And I get so filled up when we have those types of conversations, because I own a lot of real estate. I got my own stuff going on. Sometimes I forget what I'm advising other people to do, and when they actually do it. And it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, that's the thing is when you it means more when you give someone some advice and some information and they actually go out and execute. That's the part that means the most. Like I think of clients where may have had some challenges with their credit, right? And it's like, all right, these are the steps that you need to take. If you do these steps, and it might take you a year, it might take you 2 years to do it. If you do these steps, I promise you that you'll be in a position to be able to purchase a home.
Yeah.
Those that don't do it, you never hear from them, right? But the ones that do it, or you hear from them and they haven't done what you talked about doing, and they're asking you the same question again. But the ones that execute, those are the ones that mean the most. And those are the ones that you keep taking the calls from and you keep running through walls for, and you're trying to help them get to where they want to be and where they need to be. So look, we're almost done. I got one more question, 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap things up here. But so I started off with a comment about the fact that you made me read the whole book. I didn't even care about your book, Alan. No, I'm just kidding. But I wanted, I got to the point in the very last chapter. There was a reference to when you and I were roommates. So in like right after college, when we graduated, we became roommates, and we rented. We had a nice place, man. It was a nice old condo in Kingstown, Alexandria, Virginia, or I should say Kingstown, Virginia. And we had a really, really nice place. And so I remember when your parents, your dad, he was on your head, man. Like, because I was moving out, because my wife at the time was my girlfriend then. And so it was just like we were really serious, and like my clock was ticking, like all the time was coming with me moving out. And so I remember you bought your place, but like I know that was your paradigm shift for you. And then so in your book, in the last part, and I know this is something that's near and dear to you, and part of your why, the reason for why you do things, right, in your business, in your life. but you mentioned about paying it forward. Like, let's talk about that and wrap things up.
Yeah, man. My experience buying a house wasn't the best, right? My dad, and this is for anyone who wants to give the perfect gift to their kids. My dad gave me $10,000 towards my first down payment for my first house. If you want to put your kids in a super economic situation, I would argue that giving them a down payment to their home is equivalent to paying for college for your kids, right? And it may not be all of it, but some of it. So really just kind of think about what that is in your financial life and making sure that that happens. And throughout that process, I just found that I never found someone that wanted to work with me. Now, mind you, I was 25 years old. I had cornrows, I had baggy shorts. I didn't look like the prototypical buyer, but who does look like the prototypical buyer? Like no one looks like the prototypical buyer, and everyone deserves to to work with a professional, no matter what they look like. And I knew that that was something that I wanted to fill the gap for. So, that was the reason why I got my real estate license. I ended up finding an agent that looked at me just like the way that I looked at myself, which was just another human being. And that agent helped me buy a house. And within, I believe, 2 months, I had my license and was selling my second house to another one of our friends from George Mason. But throughout the process, our motto and just what we are about is about being a blessing. It's on everything that's on the back of my hat. It's a foundation that we started that serves our community, and it started off as a mentoring program where we would take our clients and our agents into Title I schools in the Prince William County area and mentored. And we went there every Tuesday. We brought pizza, we brought food, we brought an activity. I wrote a 33-week curriculum where we were teaching kids about self-esteem, about goal setting, about hygiene, about handling bullies, how to be a good big brother. We're teaching them about love. We're teaching them about how to tie a tie. Like, we literally had all of these days written out. And every Tuesday I would bring cool guys with me. Clients, like, that's the beautiful thing about life. Like, we got mutual, like Pete Gore, like Emil Davis, like Mike Sharp, like JR, like Clayton Bryant, like Josh Carroll. Like, we would bring, like, and then our agents will come with us and we would go for 1 hour with these kids after school and just really just love on them. And it was one of those things that just morphed into something that was bigger. We just found that there were needs that we could serve, and that we wanted our foundation to be more nimble. Like, if someone was like, yo, this family needs $1,000 or they need rent to be paid like right now, or like they need a coat, or they need, Christmas gifts. Like, we just wanted to be really nimble. So we started to align with the other people who were socially conscious in our community and just said, look, even from police officers to resource counselors in schools, to guidance counselors in schools, to social workers, we would say, hey, look, you can call us first for anything. Like, if you need something, you call us first. And it morphed into that. So we did a COVID food bank last year where we raised almost $33,000. This year we did an initiative with Freedom High School where we donated $10,000 to the guidance counselors and allowed them to be a blessing in their schools. And the stories were just phenomenal. And every year our goal is to give away more and more. So this year we hit our goal of giving away $100,000. Next year our goal is $150,000, and we just feel like if we can operate from that, if we can set massive giving goals, then the real estate goals will fall in line behind that.
Oh man, I don't know what to say about that. Like, it's that's great stuff. So tell us what you need. So with that said, there's nothing for me to say. It speaks for itself. What do you need? Like, how can we help you? What are you looking to do?
Yeah, talent. We're looking. You can only grow as large and as impactful as the people that you have around you. So if you know someone who's a sales professional, like they're in maybe some other sales position, like car sales or just some type of sales, and they culturally align with what you've heard over the past half an hour. An introduction to them would be great. We have some leadership opportunities in our organization where we're looking for super dynamic talent. We're obviously buyers and sellers. Anyone who needs just an intelligent conversation around real estate, obviously refer those people to us. And investors, we work with people who are who are long-term investors, right? People who are willing to do the hard work to implement what needs to be implemented. And just all around good people, man. Anyone who needs someone to go in and speak to young kids or just give some people some inspiration, we're always willing, to do things like that. And, that's us, man.
That's awesome. How do we connect with the AJ team?
AJ Team on Instagram, AJ Team Realty on Instagram. AJ email address is connect@ajteamrealty.com. Phone number 703-991-7900. What else? I'm the Nova Real Estate Guy on IG, the Nova Real Estate Guy on Instagram. And yeah, man, if you need us, we're here.
Awesome. So listen, we're gonna wrap things up with the we did the sort of lending part at the beginning, where we talked about how you got your career started with doing real estate, and I've been a part of lending on many of those deals. But you get one person, Alan, and you get one question. Who would it be? What would you ask?
One person, one question. Wow. One person, one question. I would ask the Most High if I'm doing it right.
All right. Are you doing it right?
Yeah.
It's a good question. It's a close-ended question, though.
I know.
That's all you want is a yes or no?
That's it. I just want to know if I'm doing it right. That's it.
Sounds like you are.
Hey, I just want that confirmation, right?
Definitely. It's like you're gonna open the gates up for me.
Us. Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I understand. I get it. So no, this has been great. Like Alan's dropped a ton of great information and quote unquote gems on here today. Alan, we're gonna be using this information and repurposing it. I think everybody, when you listen to the replay, please put some comments in here and some questions about it. I really liked at the very beginning, the buyer beware segment. Alan gave 3 to 5 really good points. I took away 5 questions that I would be asking. So just focus on this replay. Help Alan and his team as much as you possibly can. Any organization that's pledging to give away $150,000 in a calendar year, or small business is one that definitely should be supported. And so, we're going to wrap up. Like I mentioned, it'd be such a shame to have all these relationships in the network and not be able to share them with everyone. Everyone needs access to that. If there's anything that I can do in my power to help anybody whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out. Everybody remain as safe and as healthy as possible. And we'll see everybody next week at 2:00. Thank you, Alan.
All right, guys. Appreciate it, man.